Today, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process exactly what you need to do to build a business that makes $10,000 per month in revenue, and you only need $100 to get started. Now, Undercover Billionaire is a TV show that does something similar. They take a billionaire, put them in a random place they don't know, don't give them any sort of resources or contacts, and they have to go build $1 million business in 90 days. The thing is this, most of us do not have the confidence, skills, or experience that most billionaires have, and therefore I do not feel like that shows a good representation of what the average person can do because we have not built $1 billion business. We have not gone out and made connections and shaken hands. We don't have that confidence, and those sort of intangible skills is something that is actually a huge advantage. So if you don't have those things, follow these steps to take $100 and build a $10,000 per month business that you can live off full time. Now, most people never start their business because they can't figure out what type of business to start. And let me tell you, it's irrelevant. It really doesn't matter what kind of service you're going to sell because what we're looking for is a very low barrier to entry, very low cost service that we can sell to people. But most importantly, get a service that no one enjoys doing. Because that's like job security. If people don't want to do it, they're willing to pay for someone else to do it for them. So think mowing lawns or trimming bushes or cleaning out gutters or washing windows or potentially washing out garbage bins. These are things people don't enjoy doing. Pressure washing, soft wash, fence staining. These are all great options, including things outside of the home like mobile car detailing. Most of those things people do not want to do. They don't dream about doing that on their weekends. And if you can provide that service, you'll make money. Before we get into the step-by-step process, I'm going to give you every single week what you need to be doing. But before we jump into that, realize that during this 3 months, the next 90 days that you're going to grow your business, you'll want to minimize your spending at all costs. This might mean moving into a smaller rental for your apartment or potentially even selling your car and downsizing. The goal here is to be able to take every single dollar you make and pump it back into the business to allow it to grow and become as profitable as possible, as fast as possible, because we only have 3 months. You'll have to endure short-term pain for the massive payout of having a business that produces $10,000 per month in revenue. A phrase I like to remember is sacrifice or regret. You choose. The next 90 days is going to be a lot of sacrifice, but if you do it correctly, you won't regret it. The last thing to keep note of before we get started, and that is something that's overlooked a lot of times when it comes to your opening budget, and that is the fact that renting equipment allows you to get a business started without a lot of initial capital required. A lot of people think they need a big pressure washer, a big mower, or all these other pieces of tools and equipment, when in reality, you can rent all of these things to get started, and eventually once you get cash flow, buy that equipment down the road. Now, as promised, in week 1, this is exactly the step-by-step that you're going to need. Week number 1, the very first week of your business getting started, is not going to be spent deciding the name of your business or anything like that. The objective is to sell. The reason most businesses never get off the ground is because people can't sell. And so what I want you to do is go spend $30, buy a uniform. Maybe it's a nice polo shirt, have a little logo on it. If you've got that, great. If not, doesn't matter. Get a nice uniform, get some nice clothes because you're going to be going door to door and introducing yourself to a lot of people. Next, get a pack of business cards, maybe like 100, 200 business cards that you can pass out to people and give them your information. Now, the remaining $60 I set aside for equipment rental because we're not going to be needing big fancy equipment. We're doing simple services that is really, we're selling our time. We're selling our labor to do things that people don't want to do. So we should not need a lot of equipment, but we're going to set aside $60 to be able to get the first couple jobs under our belt, and then we'll take that cash flow and keep rolling it into the next job. Now that basically uses our entire $100. So those first few customers, you're going to have to reach out to your personal contacts and use your social media to tell your friends, family, everyone in your community that you are open for business. If you have a good network online, this is a great way to book yourself out the first couple weeks of business simply by reaching out to your personal database and people that you know online. At this point, you can charge $40 per hour. We're going to go up from there, but to get started, this is a great way to book yourself out. The goal here is just book yourself out 1, 2, or 3 weeks, get your schedule completely filled so you can have confidence that you have clients coming down the pipe. Now, what I recommend you do in this stage, instead of trying to sell jobs and then go out and get equipment or supplies, is try to sell these jobs and get a deposit. If you're booked out 1, 2, 3 weeks, tell someone, hey, look, I'm booked out 2 weeks. I'll be here on this specific date. If you give me 50% down, I'll be here on this date. And that is what's going to get you on the schedule. By getting these deposits, you don't actually get 50% or half that money before the job even starts. That's going to allow you to have the cash flow required to continue to get more supplies, more tools and equipment down the road. Now, although I made week 1 the sales part, Keep in mind that if you can't sell, weeks 2 through 12 that I'm about to share with you will all fall apart and be failure if you cannot find a way to sell. This might mean reading some books, figuring out how to sell and present yourself in front of people. And this is the massive advantage that people on the show Undercover Billionaire have. They have massive amounts of confidence to sell themselves to vendors, suppliers, and customers. If you can figure this out, the rest of this will become much more easy. Now, week number 2, I call setup. Now, a lot of people say, why would you set up your business after getting customers? Fact of the matter is most people never get started. By getting customers scheduled and you collecting deposits, it's going to force you into action. Then you can go figure out your name of your business, figure out if you're going to do an LLC or sole proprietorship. All of those things, honestly, are inconsequential to getting to $10,000 in monthly revenue and are not going to move the needle for your small business. You can do them, but they are not going to be the thing that makes you successful. Therefore, I push them off to second week, so that way you get through them fast. You're going to be so busy, hopefully, by selling in week number 1 that you're going to do these things fast, you're going to get them out of the way, and you're not going to have paralysis by analysis. Now you're going to need to set up insurance, set up your entity structure, set up your bank accounts, and make sure that your business is ready to go. You're also going to create your social media presence, things like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever other social media platforms you're going to use to spread your message. You should absolutely start a website, and you don't need a big fancy one right now. You can literally start one on the weekend on Wix, GoDaddy, Weebly, or some cheap site, if not free website, just to get a presence online and a place where you can put on your business card as a website domain. The goal in week 2 is to be able to put $1,000 in your pocket, saved, cash. That's going to give you a nice little cushion as the business begins to grow. And if anything unforeseen happens, you have that cash available to keep the business afloat. Now, if you haven't already started in week 1, you definitely are going to have to start selling door to door in week number 2 because we don't have a lot of money to spend on advertising. You're going to have to go pound pavement, knock on doors, and introduce yourself to people in the community that you can do services for. I understand this is uncomfortable and most people don't enjoy this part, but typically your social media contacts and personal references are only going to last you so long to get the business off the ground. Typically, those will not be enough to continue the momentum required to build the business fast enough to meet our 90-day challenge. Now, in week 3 to 6, you should be getting a lot of momentum. You should have already been knocking on doors, telling everyone online, have social media and your website, everything set up. This has been a lot of work, but in weeks 3 to 6, I need you to raise your price because now you're going to need to have margin, which is going to be able to cover the additional marketing costs and overhead required to continue scaling the business. Our target hourly rate that we're going to charge customers is $50 per hour. During this period of time, we're going to get yard signs and door hangers. We're going to spend like $500 doing this, but you're literally going to put 20 to 50 yard signs around your target market, as well as get 1,000 to 2,000 door hangers and put that piece of print on every single door in your target market. And that might only be 500 or 1,000 homes, so you might be able to do this twice over the course of a couple weeks. The goal here is to get 2 touch points at least with the customer. One on their door, potentially even doing the door hanger twice over the course of a couple weeks, and then also them seeing you multiple times when they're driving around their community, driving down the road, or driving in the neighborhood via the yard signs. You'll want to make sure you look into your local rules and regulations about yard signs and see if it's legal and where you can put them. But honestly, for most small businesses, it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. At this stage, you're going to be probably very busy. And so instead of trying to do lots of door knocking and even doing a lot of these door hangers, by the end of like week 5, 6, as we head into week 7, you're probably getting so busy. I really want you to focus on trying to get your existing customers to give you referrals. You're going to ask your customers that you've done business for the past 5, 6 weeks, ask them if they know of anyone, their neighbors, friends, family, people that they could connect you with that would potentially need your services. The goal by the end of week 6 is to be able to be booking yourself out for 30 hours of labor per week. That leaves you an extra 10 or 20 hours per week to do sales, but 30 hours will need to be booked. At $50 per hour, that's $1,500 per week, which is approximately $6,000 per month, which is okay, but not at our $10,000 marker yet. Now, in weeks 7 through 9, I really want you to focus on upselling. That is, not asking for referrals. We've already done that. Now we're going to ask our existing customers for another line of business, another type of product or service that you can attach or upsell to your existing customer base. Because at this point, we're starting to get pretty busy. We don't have a lot of time to do marketing. Again, maybe we can do door knocking on the weekends. Maybe we can do some flyers or some yard signs or anything like that on the weekend. But right now, as we're getting to 7, 8, 9 weeks, we're getting pretty busy. We have a lot of work to be done if we've been doing the door knocking correctly throughout this whole time and doing a good job of asking for referrals. But now what we're going to do is actually add another line of business. So for example, if I was mowing lawns, maybe I now ask if I can install mulch. If I was cleaning the windows, maybe now I ask if I can clean the gutters. If I was staining their fence, maybe now I ask them if I can stain their concrete. These are all additional services that you can offer that are upsells and are hopefully aligned somewhat with your current line of business, but a way to be able to sell existing customers because they already know, like, and trust you. They've already bought from you. They're going to be the easiest customers to sell and a great way to add additional value and extrapolate as much revenue from every single customer. Now, at this stage, you should have some good cash set aside. I want you to set aside at least $2,000 at this stage to be able to go spend on equipment. You're going to need that piece of equipment more than likely to invest in that second line of business. And when I say second line of business, I don't mean a completely different service. It's something that's already aligned with you. Perhaps you're doing pressure washing. Well, let's add soft wash by getting some chemicals and some slightly different types of tanks or sprayers. So set aside $2,000 at this stage to be able to divest or diversify into a different type of service that you can upsell existing customers. Because if you already have 50 or 60 customers and you've already done $100, $200 of revenue with each one, if you can go back to all of those customers and sell them again on a similar service, you just made a bunch of money. And that's a great step to be able to go into our last stage of growth where we're going to get to that $10,000 marker. So in weeks 10 through 12, the last stage of our 90 days, it's exciting. You're going to be very busy. This is the most physically taxing part because no longer do you hardly have any time for marketing. You're actually spending most of your time just getting the work done. And at this part, I really want you to focus on recurring work. I want you to try to ask yourself, what can I do to sell this service to my customer, but on a recurring basis? Maybe it's every week, every month, or maybe you just literally say, hey, every year I'll come here and do your gutters. I will come and paint your fence. Whatever it is, try to get recurring work. The goal here is to have guaranteed work so that after these 90 days, you don't have to constantly be on this treadmill of getting new customers, but rather you already have contracts or contacts to be able to reach out to and know that they have a scheduled set of services that you're going to perform for them. At this point in the business, I want you to raise your prices to at least $60 per hour. This is going to allow you to improve your margins. And as you pass the 90-day marker, you will not have time. You will need to spend money on advertising because you won't have time to knock on any doors or potentially put any door hangers out to get new business. Now, the reason you're not going to have time to do door knocking or other boots on the ground type marketing is because you're going to have a lot of work. The goal here is to have 40 hours of labor scheduled on client's property. What that means is if you do the math, $60 per hour multiplied by 40 hours in the week, it equals $2,400 per week. If you multiply that by 4, that's $9,600 per month in revenue. Throw in a couple extra working days and you got yourself a $10,000 in revenue business. Now, a lot of people are always asking, where can I get the most customers? How can I advertise? Honestly, some free resources like Google My Business or Google Local Services is a great place to get started. But there is one marketing tactic that I see so many small business owners fail on, especially when it comes to these service-based businesses like I've talked about. So watch this video here about the one marketing tactic you need to take your business not from just $10,000 a month, but to $1 million in annual revenue per year. Check out this one tactic. It'll change your business forever. I'm Mike Andes, founder of Augusta Lawn Care. We have over 80 locations around North America, and I hope this was helpful for you.